Oh my god, we're live. Holy fuck, I was bitching all of yesterday about how tired I am. And then, because I had like a terrible sleep, and then I had like an even worse sleep last night. My, oh, let me get the in-game music going. My wisdom tooth was playing up, so I had a lot of trouble sleeping, but is all good. It might just be a bit of a shorter stream, but that's okay, because the only plan that I really have for today is I'm broke. I've been pickpocketing these for like an hour. I'm at like 49k now, but I was down to like 1.1k. Yeah, between like buying runes every day, especially death runes, but I'm gonna probably stop buying death runes and maybe focus. No, I'm gonna keep buying death runes for a while until I level up magic even further. But I'm gonna be getting a lot of death runes from Barrows now, so that's cool. But I still have to pay for, you know, I'm buying a lot of the elemental runes because I'm buying them daily. The food store stuff isn't that expensive, like the fish and stuff. That's fine. Today I had to also get the shit, what's it called? I had to top up my tool leprechaun so that he would do the composting for me. I only managed to do for 150k, so that was fuck all. But it is what it is. So I need to get more money for that. There was another big expense that I have pretty frequently. What was it? Crap, I've forgotten. There's another one that costs me a lot of money daily. But yeah, I'm broke. I'm broke. I'm poor. That being said though, right now my best moneymaker that I know of is Menify Marketeers. And the cool thing about it and the bad thing about it is these motherfuckers like level 45 or something. Pickpocketing. 46. And it's not entirely consistent. It's consistent over a long period of time, you know, because law of averages. But it's purely based on these Menified offerings, which, you know, we're going to open these ones up soon. But being level 46, that's kind of crazy. I'm 97 thieving. There has to be way better options. I just have to figure them out. So today we're going to test out a few different things with thieving, see what we can come up with try and find a new money maker. And I do have an idea in mind. So I've been wondering for a while, how the fuck do you get to Waco? I've checked like Port Sarim and everything like that for quite a few times. Same with Cyclossus, because both of these have some thieving stuff. The one in Waco is interesting to me because like these are the Menified Marketeers. Waco has Waco merchants, I believe, or Marketeers, one of the two. Waco merchants. Merchants have money. So I want to test that out. I don't know if it's going to be absolutely crap, like pickpocketing rate, like I might get caught constantly or whatever, but it's worth a shot. Now, the thing is though, is I haven't had any idea how to get to Waco. I've tried like checking like a whole bunch of different ports. I tried checking Port Sarim. I tried checking this one because I figured, hey, this is newer. Maybe this is where you go. And I couldn't figure anything out. Until this morning, you know, when I was on the Porcelain Throne, the greatest place in the world to think, I realized, why don't I just look? And I knew this quest was here, right? Mini quest, and it said something about Port Sarim. So I figured it had to do something with Port Sarim. But then I was like, why don't I look at the prerequisites? Duh. So I ended up looking at like mini quest. I had to look at those really quick, but then I looked at impressing the locals. Learn how to sail and claim an uncharted island. I didn't actually read that before. But I looked at that, and I was like, okay, let's go see what the prerequisites for that are. Because in order to do that quest, I have to be on that island, right? So clearly something's got to get me to that island to begin with. What was it called? Impressing the locals, right? So when I clicked on it, It's step 1. It is the first in the series of Tales of the Ark. Talk to the trader in Port Sarim about the Skulls pirate named Jed. We do start in Port Sarim. We've got multiple hints saying that we start in Port Sarim. It says it's the first one of the Ark, so, you know, there's also no requirements, which means, yeah, it is the first one. I think this is the way we get there then, right? So we're going to do that today. It's only a short quest, so that's good. And we're going to test out the marketeers there. We might try out a few other pickpocketing things. Unfortunately, at this level, like in the 90s or like 85 plus kind of thing, the majority of it seems like Prifdinous stuff. You know, like it's all of these like Cardan workers, Emerald, blah, 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 all the different elf workers, which, you know, Prif is very different in this. But, you know, when I look at the map, the Prif, which, by the way, whoever did this map needs to be fired. I don't know if this is just bugged out for me, but this shit looks worse than paint. Like, I could do a better job than this. What the fuck is this? Bruh. Multi-million-dollar company. What the fuck? But anyway, you can see it's Okada and Ruis. It's like clearly separated into like different sections, like districts kind of things. Mining, I guess, is there, like whatever. But also these names match up with the elves, so I'm assuming like that is what it is, like all the elves in Prif. But unfortunately, the thing that I was saying is, unfortunately, that seems to be everything I'm unlocking at the moment, right? From 93 to 97, all elves. 92 was a rogue captain, but then 92 and 91 as well were more elves. So yeah, next thing I get, more elves. So yeah, I think I'm kind of screwed in that department because I'm not going to be doing the quest for Prif for quite a while. So I figure I want to try out the Waco Merchant, maybe the Cyclossus Villager. I have no idea about these. I'm also curious about, it says that the Thieving Cape in this is, the perk you get for the 99 skill cape is items unnoted. I haven't, like, and it's just from pickpocketing. It specifically says pickpocketing. If it was from chests, it'd make more sense to me. Yeah, skill mastery. All items received from pickpocketing will be noted. Chests, there's lots of chests that I've done, especially like the Dwarven one, the Keldgrim chests, for example, and the White Knights chests. They drop items. Also, you know, the Herb chest in the Chaos Druid Tower thing. All of those drop like single items as well that would be nice if they could be noted, but it says pickpocketing. Outside of some like more old school weird things like gnomes and stuff like that, I haven't found that many things that you pickpocket that give you unnoted items or like unstackable items. So I don't know what that's about. So I don't know how useful that skill cape is, but it also is why I'm curious about things like the, you know, a lot of the newer stuff, especially like the Cyclossus, for example, because like, you know, what the fuck is a Cyclops gonna give me? What is a Cyclops gonna give me if I pickpocket him? What has he got in his pocket? Other than a giant, never mind. Anyway, we got 10 of these. The good thing about these is they do drop other cool stuff too. But yeah, 28k, 37k, 73k, 68k, 64k. Thing is, it's hard to measure this because like the drops aren't guaranteed. Like the actual, you know, it's a random chance to get the gift. And then on top of the random chance to get the gift, it's also a random amount that you're gonna get from it. Fortunately, the other stuff in it is really nice, like really nice. Yeah, you get, what was it? You get a decent amount of charms, you get I think you get coconuts, you get saplings, like a specific sapling. What sapling was it? Palm sapling. Yeah, there's like a bunch of cool stuff from it on top of the money. But I need money. So let's go do that quest. Did I set it? I did set it. Alright, said we don't need anything. I don't think it said anything about combat, right? Yeah, no combat, no requirements. Let's just head on over to Port Sarim. God, I hope this is better money. I also kind of want to get to 99 thieving anyway. Actually, what I really want is 104, because I imagine these guards are being pickpocketed by people all the time. And it seems like, yes, you can fail them, but a lot of people don't. So, what does that mean? Active. Yeah, who do I talk to? Talk to... Oh, over here. Hello, Trader Stan. How are we doing, buddy? Ooh, I wonder if there's voice active. Can I help you? Talk about Skull Pirates. Jed, that crazy blasted pirate, he stole 2 of my ships. 2! And the second one he used to assault Port Sarim's jail. Why would he do that? He's one of them skulls, the notorious slave traders. My guess is he was under a tight quota, and the jail's inhabitants were easy pickings. Fair. And to add insult to injury, well, there was something on my boat when he took it. Something priceless to me. I need it back. One second. I forgot to jump into my Discord. Alright. Say you're pretty renowned yourself. You're pretty renowned yourself around these parts, aren't you? I can trust you, right? Yeah, sure, I guess so. I stopped sending my charter ships to Wishanko Isles years back when all the sea monsters started showing up. But if they've cleared up enough that scum like Jed can so brazenly waltz in and out of it, with my ships no less, then maybe it's time I took my business back that way. Where do I come into this? You're a capable, dependable sort. I can just tell these things. But even if you're not, I'm sure you're at least interested in making some money. Yes. That is the entire reason I'm fucking here. I am broke. I don't have the staff myself right now to spare on voyages to Wishanko. How would you like to become my newest captain? Love it. Captain my own ship? I don't have a ship. I don't have any crew. That's all taken care of. The residents of Port Sarim, along with other charitable sorts, have constructed a new interceptor. I named it Sarim's Revenge. Technically it's donated to me personally, but it's a boat for all of Port Sarim. And I am trusting it to you, at least for the time being. Though there is something we of Port Sarim, would like you to do in exchange. But first you're going to need a crew. You can't very well sail the boat by yourself. Tell that to my character in OSRS. I mean, she's small and fast, but she's still not a one-person ship. What do you say? The worst for me is that I lose a third boat, but I've got faith in you. I like this guy. This guy's a good lad. I mean, sure, why not? So, what sort of crew do I need? As a minimum, a captain needs a dependable quartermaster to act as their second. You'll also need a strong navigator, else you'll wind up getting lost at sea. And then a bosun. What the fuck is that? To keep everything ship-shape and Sarim fashion. Alright. Quartermaster. You're gonna want the best. For that, I'd suggest you talk to Cerula in your personal port bar. She has all the gossip. I'm not sure I have a personal port. Sure you do, everyone does. Just head into the portal in the northern Port Sarim. The bar is to the north. Once you're in, Cerula will be behind the bar. I am super curious about these ports, by the way. Player-owned ports. About navigator. What about a knowledgeable navigator? That one's easy. You want a siren, if you can find one. It's rare to find outside the eastern lands, but I happen to know one called Umi. In fact, she oversaw construction of your boat. She'll be in your personal port now. Okay. Is everyone in there? Where might I find a brilliant bosun? Before Jed's assault, my best guess would have been the prison. The guard captain there used to let prisoners work off some of their time aboard ship crews. Still, you should go and talk to him. He'll be just inside the old jailhouse, the old lighthouse jail. Tell him I sent you. Alrighty. I want to go to the port, player-owned ports. I'm so curious about these. Like, what are they? Like, I heard about these. I heard they were quite controversial, I think, but from the very little that I heard, it sounded cool. I'm also pretty sure it sounded pretty late game, though, if I'm not mistaken. Alright. No. Resources. Oh. No. 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 Alright, I'm going to focus on the quest, but we might actually come back to this afterwards. Because I am very curious. Trade the trader. Trade the trader. Okay, that's fine. Where is court staff? I'm not seeing people in buildings. Wait, do they send a bar? Don't I have to make the bar first? Because if so, I'm screwed. Navigator.
We should talk when you're less busy.
Huh? Trust me, I'm not very busy right now. I can vouch for me. Gossip. Trader to Stan told me you sent me. Said you might be able to help. Stan sent you, did he? So you're here to settle his bar tab, I take it? Oh god, it's gonna cost me money to make money. Oh no, he suggested you might be able to help me find a quartermaster for my new ship. Oh, he did now. I'll tell you what, lamb. If you square up what Stan owes me, I've got perfect person in mind for your crew. Alright, if that's what it'll take, how much does he owe? Call it an even 1,000. Alright, that's easy. Thank you kindly, love. Now about the quartermaster. Just go head on upstairs and look for Mr. Gully. If he gives you the runaround, just tell him I sent you and that'll send him straight. I mean, you just let a guy walk out with $1,000 tab. I don't think you're that impressive. Wait, what? Oh, out here. Hello, Mr. Gully. I see 2 dots. Who's the other one? Never mind. Whatever it is, I'm not interested. Yes, you are. Cerula sent me. Oh, right, Cerula. Okay, I'm in need of a quartermaster for my new ship. We're heading to the Ark to bring the Skull Pirate Jed to justice. Well then, why didn't you say so sooner? I'm in. Well, that took a lot of convincing. Why so quickly? Don't you want to talk terms? Make it the usual rates for quartermaster, and we'll do fine. I've got my own unfinished business with that bunch of reprobates. Well, alright then. Welcome aboard. My boat will be docked just outside Port Sarim Pub. I'll inform Trader Stan that you've joined the crew. Cool. Empty ship slot. Ooh. Ooh, I'm getting more and more curious. Alright, who the fuck is in here? Who was the Black Marketeer? Ooh, interesting. I feel like it might be that guy who said that he's not going to talk to me yet. The one over in that building. What else is... Oh. I was about to see, where does that path go?
When you have less to do, we should talk business.
I haven't got things to... impressing the locals. Talk to the guard. Yep. Once I find a navigator. Alright, and yeah, I need the navigator. Alright, let's go back in here. Navigator.
We should talk when...
No, we talk now. Nothing Oh, I hate you. Duncan. Okay, his name's Duncan. But I'm not looking for someone named Uma or some shit. Umi. In my personal port to see if she'd want to navigate for me. Umi. Who the fuck is Umi? I mean, that's Meg, obviously. Mr. John Stern. Oh, Umi. Probably the one that's green. Hi, Umi. Trader Stan suggested you might be interested in joining my crew. He said Sirens are naturally gifted navigators. Oh, that's kind of him to say, but I'm kind of happy here in Port Sarim. Plus, I don't really want to go back to the Ark anytime soon. Sorry. Okay, you're gonna go back to fucking Avatar. Look at your character. Oh, that's a shame. I don't suppose you know anyone who'd be a good recommendation. Oh yeah, silly me. My sister has been visiting recently and was even thinking about heading home soon. She'd be perfect. She said she was heading to Remington to do some sightseeing before heading home. Besides, she's better than me at navigating anyway, and she's a full-blown sea singer. She's the clever one, so Mum always said.
So you're the new portmaster. I can tell you're busy, but maybe we should catch up.
I'm not busy. Why does everyone keep telling me when I am? I'm not liking that. I decide if I'm busy. Either way, let's go to Remington. So I guess today, maybe we check out Waco. We'll see if we can get to Cyclosis, like, right as well, like right at the start. Do some thievery. See what we can get. Then we check out player-owned ports. Also, I'm kind of, like, confused and also disappointed. I think it is. I mean, Ports Adventure, that I'm curious about too. But more importantly, where is it? Oh, is it not in this category? Goals, multiples, everything, I guess. Heist. Vault of Hereditas. The thing that I'm confused about with these, and I know there's another vault over on that Dinosaur Island place. I mean, not vault, sorry, another heist, is... I looked in... Oh, God, no, not the activity tracker. Go away. Go away. Go away. I don't know. No. Heist seemed to be a mini-game. Like, I found it in the mini-game list. And the thing that's confusing about it is it's a team game. You must choose a side with either guards or robbers. The guards' goal is to trick the guards by taking the form of locals in order to escape with the loot. The guards' goal is to prevent the robbers from succeeding by accusing suspects and making arrests. You can find the game north of Falador, climb the ladder to enter the lobby area. So on the basis of the game, you may play heists as often as you wish. This sounds different, like a different thing entirely, but it's named Heist. Why are they named Heist? Like, why is there two things named Heist that are completely different? Like this thing over here is another one, Heist. I don't understand. It's confusing. I don't know if that mini game is it or not, but if it is, it's also even worse for me because being a group Iron Man, like one of those prestige group Iron Man things, I can't do group activities outside of my group. So can I even participate in Heist? Is it even the same Heist? What? I don't know. So that's kind of confusing to me. But anyway, let's continue. Hi, you're Jemmy, aren't you? Umi's sister. Oh, you're actually looking to talk to me and not her. Why is that so surprising? Oh, she always gets all the attention. She's the pretty one, Mum says. You look identical. Yeah, but aren't you identical twins? So, what can I help you with? No. Do identical twins, if one of them gets complimented as pretty, does the other one just take that compliment and be like, oh, thank you? Like, because they look the same? I know they hate the whole, like, does one of them think the same as the other thing, but, like, I mean, in this case, you're literally getting complimented as well. I don't know. Oh, yeah, right. I'm looking for someone to serve as a navigator on my ship. Umi mentioned you were planning to head back to the Ark soon anyway, so interested? Sure, why not? These people are really easy to convince. Don't look at my other screen, or my other window, Miss C. Singer Jimmy. I am not capturing your people and putting them into my storage box. I am definitely not fishing. Alright, come on, quick. Alright, cool. Nothing happened. Sure, why not? If Umi sent you here, yep. Thanks, I think. I just have one thing to finish up here, and then I'll meet you in Port Srimpo. 1 second, I think the dog just hurt herself. Okay, she's all good. She just fell off the couch. I just have one thing to finish up here, and then I'll meet you at Port's Room Pub. Thank you. Sure. Alright, there we go. 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Yeah, this is quicker. This is quicker. Wait, no, it won't be. It'll be like a couple seconds, like a second or so it's slower because I have to do the animation here. Meaningless optimizations. Oh, never mind. Oh. Screw you too, game. Alright, hello. Hey, I'm trying to build up a ship crew so we can pursue Jed in the Eastern Lands and rescue people he abducted. Trader Stan suggests you've allowed certain prisoners to get an early release in agreement for joining a crew. That's true, but Jed abducting a bunch of our prisoners has changed my mind on that particular policy. I might be able to offer a suggestion though. What crew roles are you looking to fill? To start with, Stan suggested a quartermaster, a navigator, and a bosun. Well, I can't help with the first two, and I wouldn't suggest a convict for such an important role either. As for the last one though, I would have suggested Jacob, who I guess I've got to go rescue. Who's Jacob? He used to serve on the crew of a Black Knight's vessel until he was court-martialed for theft and found his new home in our lovely Shoreview cell. But he was grabbed in Jed's initial assault. Oh no, this one does have a window. I was about to say, do any of them actually view the sea? Okay. Oh my god. Fishing is so much less AFK. There isn't much about boats worth knowing that... Oh my god, stop flashing. I have AFK notification thingy on it. It just flashes even when you're in, like, I don't know. There isn't much about boats worth knowing that he and his sisters don't... Oh, his sister didn't know. Oh, no, his sister. What's up? Between the assault and the cleanup, I've not had a chance to inform his sister that Jake has been abducted. Look, I know you came here for a favor, but could you do me one instead? Could you go to Jacob's sister and tell her what happened? If I know her, I think she'll help solve your crew problems. Okay, I guess I can't help. Where can I find her? She got herself transported to Draenor to be near her brother so she could visit him. Those two were thick as thieves, you know, up until her brother was locked up for becoming an actual thief. Draenor is a big place. It really isn't. Any idea where in Draenor she'll go? Yeah, she rented a room above the pottery there. I do think they need to utilize the verticality of buildings a lot more in this, like in both old school as well. It just seems like such a, like, it's kind of like, I was talking to someone yesterday about why I voted for sailing in old school, and it's because apparently there's going to be a new island expansion coming out or something. Not like for sailing, but like there's a new island coming out or something. And I'm like, that's exactly why I wanted it, because I feel like you can expand on sailing just infinitely. And the cool thing about it from a dev perspective is a lot of it can be done in a relatively isolated scenario. Like you don't have to attach it to other places. And you can kind of contain everything you need within that island if you really wanted to. I feel like on an even smaller scale, you can probably do that with the verticality of buildings. You know, whoa, she's still a Black Knight. Like, it does seem like a missed opportunity for a lot of buildings to be empty upstairs. Get lost, pal. You've got no business here. Actually, I think I might. You're Jacob's sister, right? What of it? He's been taken by a pirate gang called the Skulls. What? Don't be silly, he's in jail. Yeah, that's where they took him from. I'm preparing a crew to sail in pursuit and rescue all of the abductees. Fine, I'm in. Oh, you're in? I wasn't sure I was asking. And I don't care, Captain. I'm still in. Jacob's my little brother. I'm going after him. He may be an idiot, but he's family. Besides, I know boats better than he does. If you get me to him, I'll keep your ship in top condition. Aren't you a Black Knight? Can you just leave like that? I can. If I just take care of a few things first. Where's your boat? It'll be moored just out Portsmouth pub. Once I've arrived, let's not hang about. I'm the captain. We'll hang about if we want to. By the way, I'm Higgs. Sergeant E.V. Higgs. Nice to meet you. I know exactly who you are. I fought in the Battle of Lumbridge too. Captain. We'll do just fine for now. Captain. Thank you, Sergeant. We'll, I guess, bosun now. I'll let Trader Stan know you've joined the crew. Alright, this is definitely quicker. Has to be. There's no way I can go in, out, around, and that way, and then to the bottom of port. Yeah, this is quicker. Not that anyone gives a shit other than me. Alrighty. Mr. Stan. How you doing, buddy? Can I help you? So that's my crew sorted. I'm ready to set sail. Aye, so you are a captain. Welcome aboard. Now about the thing you and the people of Port Sarim wanted me to do that I do not care about, unless there's money. Well, it's two things, really. The first being to track down Jed and bring him to justice. He sailed away with a bunch of convicts and even a few prison guards. They might be criminals, but they're our criminals, and they don't deserve whatever fate Jed has in store for them. Besides, they have family and loved ones here, the same as anyone. It won't be easy, mind. Jed's base in the Ark will be well hidden and well armed. Your new boat will be fast, but she's not built for combat. And while the Ark is the most welcoming region of Wushenko to us Westerners, it's still an alien culture. Oh, Wushenko is one of those, like, yeah, I've heard about that. There's, like, obviously, like, I forgot what land we're on. Is it Mistalin? But, there's other lands on Gillinor, and Wushenko is one of them. Yeah, to the east, because we're Westerners. It's still in... So this is actually the first, like, foray into... Is that the right word? The first foray into not only Wushenko, but also just a different, like, actual continent. It's still an alien culture. You're going to have to make some new friends out there to help you on this mission to find and defeat Jed. And what was the other thing? Yeah, that one more personal. I'd like you to retrieve the prized item that was on my boat when Jed stole it, and return it to me, no questions asked. Why, what is it? I did just say no questions asked. He did. You should listen more. Don't worry, it's nothing dangerous or illegal, it's just personal. You know it when you see it. It's a sex toy, isn't it? I'll do what I can. Very good. Oh god, I just had a terrible thought. Do I share the terrible thought? Right. So you know crawling hands, right? I think that's enough said. Wait. Now what? What? Oh, I can take locked off. Where's my quest? Hello? Oh, completed the quest impressing the locals. Okay, now how the fuck do I get there? No, it's not the skull. Oh my god, am I back to square one where I have no idea how to get there? Do I go to the port? My player owned port, maybe? Huh? What? Player owned port, maybe? Please? For the love of God? Please tell me there's a ship there. 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 Fuck. Quartermaster Gully, on the pier south of Port Sarim. I didn't see Quartermaster Gully anywhere. Unless there's like another pier. No, that is the last one. I don't see a yellow dot. nerd. Huh? Huh? Oh, south of the pub. Oh, it must be that one over there. Sorry, I read that wrong. It's not south of Port Rims. What do we got? No, Monk of Entrana. Sorry, not that one. The one all the way over there. There's one that looked like it didn't have anyone near it. Yep, there it is. Alright. Island settings. What the fuck is an island setting? No, we're just going to travel first. Keep it simple. Travel. Are you ready to set sail for the Ark, Captain? Where should we go first? Waco. Yes, thank you. It's the main hub of where the east meets the west. Jed would no doubt have stopped there to stock up on supplies. Very good, Gully. Let's set sail. I really got to set up a more AFK fishing thing, though. Yo, cutscene. Let's go. I was going to say this game is pretty, but I can't see it because I'm now blind. That was so bright. I mean, on the bright side of fishing on old school and AFKing it, right now I'm doing anglers, and I'm only getting 12k XP. So, what that means is, about hidey hole, it's going to take a fucking forever to hit 99, which means a lot more time for RuneScape 3. Alright, Sharkbone, what the fuck? No, Batman, I don't know why I thought of that. Pickpocket. Hey, new fit. I didn't want to talk to you. Have a copy of our tourist brochure. You're enthusiastic. Of course, Waco is great, and we love Western tourists. Oh, I like this place. Any questions? I'm here to help. Read the brochure. Where are the Uncharted? What a stupid question. Where are the Uncharted Isles? They're uncharted. You should talk to Rosie in Waco Market. She's our ship chandler? Chandler? Buy supplies from her and you'll be able to head out on an expedition on your own boat. She's even generous enough to give you a handful of supplies daily for... Ooh, hello. And if you want to claim an uncharted island as your own, you'd best talk to Bon... Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. Also in Waco Market, she's looking for help with a little project. Anything here for skillers, killers, skillers. I wonder if he tells me to pickpocket people. Of course, there are a couple of basic amenities here on Waco. Some bamboo around the market area, some fishing spots south of the dock. If you're after trickier fish to land, though, you should head to Wales Moor. There's some turtles to hunt there, so I've heard. These are only basic resources, however. They're pretty good to sell for chimes, but they're not a great experience. But if you head out to explore the Uncharted Islands, you'll be able to gain some really nice experience. Better resources worth more chimes. Better still... Oh my god, stop moving. Better still, if you're able to gather a wider range of resources, you can spend some extra effort to turn them into commodities, which sell for even more chimes. Yo, I like this place already. Anything for killers. There's plenty of dangerous fauna, monsters, and people out in the Uncharted Islands, but it sounds like a Minishi might be your sort of speed. Last I heard, there was a Death Lotus assassin out that way. You should talk to them for more information. Okay. Hey, if you're looking for work, you should talk to Sojobo in the Waco Market. His contracts are a good way to learn the ropes while also earning some chimes and experience. But I'm sure if you ask around, there'll be a bunch of other odd jobs you can pick up too. Okay, I'm excited. Let's do the first thing that's very important is read the brochure. Whoa, resources, what? Is your resourcing guide for activities in the Ark Islands. Use the bookmark at the top to check your progress with various items you collect. This is interesting. I almost, at first glance, I kind of like this approach because there's already too many fucking windows. So this or like a board in the area that you can check stuff to kind of like keep it more contained to this island. Yo, what the fuck? Balance like clusters. Wait, view discoverable birds, discoverable mushrooms, discoverable berries, kami spirits. How many castaways you have spoken to? See which mini quest you have yet to complete. Okay. Information. Read the tourist guide and begin to understand how life works in the Eastern Lands. Jagex. Why is this game's UI so fucked? A stamp award for those that have discovered all kami spirits. Okay. Cool, so it's like a completionist thing. Salt merchant. Turtle shell merchant, okay. So I think we just sell to those guys then if they're already empty. A turtle trap, so that's hunter, I'm guessing. Bamboo, we sell to, yep, so selling food. Yep, they're all out. This is kind of cool. Buy all. Talk to Rosie for supplies. Yeah. Contracts. Want to buy some supplies? You'll need supplies to travel on your ship. The greater the distance, the more supplies you'll need. 25 turns each. Okay. Alright. Most importantly. Wait, was it? These are the islanders. Wait, what did that give me? These are only 41 XP, so these must be low level. They're also not giving me gold. Wait, are they giving me those chime things? Is that what's happening? Wait. Fuck. Chimes. Okay, favorite that for a second. Is this what I'm getting off these people? No. Wait, what am I doing? Wait, 585. Pocket them a few times. 586. Okay, so I think it is very slowly going up. But they seem a lot lower level than what I'm expecting. So where the fuck is a merchant? We go Islander. Let's just confirm these are different. Pickpocket. Waco. No. I refuse to believe these are the Waco merchants. Maybe it's just these, like... examine. Resident of Waco. Okay, it doesn't say what... Alright, let's just have a look around, because we need to find merchants. Oh, do not do this to me. Don't tell me I came all the way here and it doesn't exist. Or don't tell me it's that is it. Let's have a look at... Okay, Waco really is just this island. Okay, ooh. Wait, no, did I see something? I swear I saw like the word pickpocket, unless it was just two people walking over the top of each other. I don't want to trade you, I want to steal from you. Oh my god, you are carrying too many fish. fuck is up here? Enter Khan's house. Fuck Khan, I just want to pickpocket. Archaeologist. Examine rock. Worker. Okay. So there's workers down here. Wait, no, that did say worker, right? Chopped ember. I swear I saw the word worker. It must have just been Waco. Fuck. It specifically says Waco merchant. I really hope those aren't the guys that giving me 40 XP and seemingly no items. Fish merchant. Yeah, why can't I steal from the actual merchants? Maybe on the docks? No. This feels so bad. This is... Oh, is this seriously it? Combat skill board. Alright, let's have a look at this. From combat contracts you would like to receive experience in. Magic. Is that all that is? Magic. Toggle contract board. What the fuck is this? 95 fishing. Oh, I feel so scammed right now. Wait, maybe it's an upgrade? Customizations, house. Building that allows one-way travel. Okay, Symbols. Skill choice. Huh. Waco teleport. Break this tele tab. Okay, so that's a tele tab. You must complete an eye for, okay. Contract contact. Unlocks. Confused. I am confused. Oh, a hybrid chestplate. That's cool. Wait, is there a weapon? Fang. Spear. Ooh. I love spears. Spears are cool. Pole arms are one of my favorite weapon types. Okay, I'm not seeing anything about... No. Wait, that just bug out. Bruh. Oh, the UI in this game. Near the East Pier. Okay. But how do I commit mass acts of thievery? And make a lot of profit of it. I didn't even consider... Wait, that just went up. I didn't do anything. Did that just go up without me even pickpocketing? So I wasn't even gaining it from pickpocketing, was I? 41. They don't seem to give me anything. What is happening? Who am I? Why am I here? So, let me get this straight. What was that? You have raised the island suspicion 1 out of 3 strikes. I'm paying attention right now. Okay, 1 out of 3 strikes. What happens if I get caught? Damn it, chop down. I don't want to do work, I want to steal. I'm gonna be broke at the end of this, aren't I? At the end of this video. What? Understands no. Yeah, that's. They'll catch you next time. That's fine. I don't give a shit. What are you gonna do? Oh, I got bamboo. Trade bamboo. Trade bamboo. How much do I sell this for? Sell. Bro. I hate this place. Islander. Come on, catch me. Catch me. I want to see what happens. I don't think I can do any of the mini quests either. Yeah, 1991. Which one's... I want to do the one to get to... Cyclosis. Scholarly... Oh, wait, this one... Oh, no, prerequisites an I4. This is the one that it said I needed. Yeah, 90 mining. Damn. Crafting tutor. Cooking tutor. Fishing tutor. I don't see any... Unless these guys are also tutors or some shit. If I actually talk to them, but God forbid you socialize. That's just... So easily fooled. The islanders are wise to your thieving ways. Okay. Alright, so now I just can't thieve anymore. Is that all? I hate this fucking place. Talk to you. What? Huh? How is he a cooking tutor? You can unlock this feature at the reward shop. Unlock what feature? Using a fucking grill. Decoration to your claimed unlocks. Wake up. Bruh, really? Who gives a shit? I hate it here. I am curious to how much XP this gives. But it's probably an incredibly stupid thing to do right from the start. Contract? For any of the contracts available. This was a complete fucking waste of time, wasn't it? I want to do player owned ports now, but I need to find money makers. How much do the archaeologist gives? Because I know that I can I think I can pickpocket them like fully, like as in like 100% rate if I have the aura on. I haven't tested in a minute though. Where is my... Did I put the teleport into this? No. Where is the book? Book? Goblin next door. Nope. Archaeology journal. I think that's it. Where did I put that there? And I actually want that too. come to think of it. Alright. Let's teleport and then put in pocket. There are so many people who log in and crash at bandits. I have not had that happen even once. Empty. Alright, cool, it is empty. So how much XP do I get off this? 240. Do I get money as well? No, I don't get money off these ones. Okay. It's just the drops. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Alright. Need to find something that gives money as well. Wait. 233k. Let me just do a few first. Oh, it does give money occasionally. It's when you don't successfully get an item. Okay, okay, that's cool. 265. Let me go. Let me actually activate this. Do I have a 100% pickpocket rate? Do I get one every game tick? Or is it 2 game ticks? While spam clicking. I get 32 game ticks. This seems like it'd be a lot more consistent. And it would help me with archaeology, I guess, because I don't like archaeology. Waco Island. The Waco's Islanders have forgotten about your pickpocketing, and I've forgotten about theirs. Fuck them. Broke ass bitches. What is that? I don't know what half this shit is. Made 13k already, so yeah, this would be faster than the things if I'm actively pickpocketing it. If I'm not actively pickpocketing it, at the very least, this would be more consistent than the Metafight Marketeers, but I'm not getting reputation either. Okay. I would mostly just want to do the new stuff because pickpocketing Crocs Akal Knights, like the new ones seem to have better pickpocketing rates than a lot of the older stuff. The Dwarf Trader seemed to just kick my head in. This is also pretty fucking good XP, 240 each, and I can just spam click if I want to. Is it better than chests? I mean, I suppose it's a moot point whether it's better than chests or not, because I need the gold. The bank is also right there, so that's nice. I can just use load last preset for that. Wait, if I go deposit material, does it only... Oh, okay. Examine. Does this have a limited amount it can store, though? Because the bank's right there as well, so that's easy banking and stuff, similar to the mages. Oh no, I have a friend request and a message request. Okay then. Doesn't matter. Alright. Let's pickpocket. So I do look like I have got 100% pickpocket rate on these with the aura. Let's have a look with the aura. I don't think I do for Caldergrim, but we're going to try it anyway. As I am curious. Actually, let's dump stuff first. Pick up time. While I'm teleporting, I'm grabbing a drink. Puppy. You okay? Fell off the couch. Thick head. I think she's probably got a pretty thick head. Oh, that's good then. Puppy. Good go. Alright. Alrighty. I always forget which one it is. Yeah, it's this one. I like that they've changed it to Cross River because that's kind of confusing in old school. I think they both say travel. And, oh, fuck, I gotta lure the guards in this one. Alright. That's fine. I figured out a way I could do it last time. Open this door. And this door. I can use these to lure the guards. Alright, kick that guy in the nuts. Come on, get your ass in here. That's what I thought. I'll run down here. I'll run back around. Oh, he's stuck. Kick him. Run around here. Nope. Come around. Alright. Yeah, come down here. Now get him to come out this door. Oh, that could be fine. That could be fine. He might not be able to get back. He will be able to get back technically, but this is fine. Go downstairs, come back up. And now we get the last one. Actually, we can leave this open, actually. Because we wouldn't mind. I think there was one more guard. Let me try to pickpocket him. Does anyone catch me? Yep, thief. Thief! Alright, come on in. Welcome to my makeshift prison. Alright, now we close this one. Run down here. Close this. And they have to lure him later. Actually, no, let's open this. Let's see if he just walks himself in. Alright, legend. He wants to slack on the job. Can't blame him. That one's a problem. Okay. I need this guy. I need this guy to move. Oh, no, I can just, hang on, I can just lure this one into this room. Bonk. Oh, damn it. Thank you. Come on in, friend. Alright, let's just try and close this for now and see if that one just doesn't get close enough. But, now we can test this. How much does he give me? When it's cash. I think I'm gonna get hit in the face way too much though. I think I did test this and I was getting hit like constantly. Alright, chill out, buddy. Wait, chill. What is your problem? Bruh. You know, I have a feeling this ain't gonna be the spot. Oh, it only gives me 100 anyway. That's less than the other one. Alright, I want to see how much and how often I get it from the mages. Did you say the dictator? Oh, I probably said director. Not that different. we're going to the bank to get a health back. Actually, no, these guys can't even hit me. The question is, do I get too much of other stuff from these guys? Do I get the runes too frequently? Because it seems like I only get the gold when I don't get an item. So, am I getting items too frequently with these? Because these can do the runes. There's 3 different types of runes and all the talismans. Well, this one's actually a perfect example of one that would be good for pickpocketing with 99, because it would, with the skill mastery. Huh. How did I not think of that? I pickpocketed here tons. I must be just stupid. Alright. How much do you give? And how often? These will be lower XP. 100. Okay, so the same as the trader, but... Oh, I've also got to see how much I can sell Chaos Runes for, because I've got like 16k of them. I'm going to get more barrows, I'm going to get more here. And it doesn't seem like I need them for... I saved them in case I needed them for Ancient Magics, but... No, starts and deaths in this. In old school, it's death and chaos for the first, for like the burst spells, I think. But yeah, not in this. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm making, yeah, fuck all compared to the archaeologists. Which makes sense. I think I might need to bank more here too, actually. Actually, I don't know, that one's a tough one, but I'm also getting less XP. So, yeah, this isn't it unless, let's go sell some... Oh, I need to buy my daily runes anyway, so let's go do that. Can you portal to... No, you can only come here from, whatchamacallit, from the Wizards Guild. Can't teleport to it. Alright, so we're going in and we'll try and sell these, and we will try and buy out the store. Maybe I skip the death runes until later today, and when I get more money. Because that's like 330k, I want to say. 310k. Next question is, do these drop in price the more I sell them? 42 is better than I thought. Not gonna lie. Alright, we might have to try that out. Let's go, let's buy these. No, not that, fuck. Oh, no, just wasted more money. 41k for those. Ugh. That hurts. That hurts. 17k per elemental stack, I think. Let's just come here for a sec. Let's also dump those. And that. Alright. Chaos Runes. We'll sell like 500, see if the price stays the same. Sell. 42. 42. Max, that's 21k per stack. 701k. I don't know what I'm going to need Chaos Runes for. That's the only problem. And I don't think... No, it'll be fine, actually. Because even if I get Chaos Runes for something later on, I can get them from barrows. And I will probably have better money-making methods later on. Oh, I can buy my Death Runes. The reason I say that is because I'm going to be pickpocketing, and I'm going to try and get my... to the Metaphite guards, I think. Alright, now where else do we go for my rune? Nope, not Edgeville. I'm going to go to Berthorpe first, because I always forget Berthorpe. Berthorpe, Mage Arena, Zamorak Wizard, Varrock, Port Sarim, Void Knight. Oh god, there's so many now. But I chew through so many runes that I actually do really want to do this. And I've been doing this every single day. Alright, that's that one. Let's go Varrock. Go Varrock, Port Sarim. Then we take the boat to the Void Knights. We buy the runes there. Then we teleport to Edgeville. We speak to the Zamorak wizardy dude. Buy off him. Then we run down to the Lever and go to Mage Arena. I think that's what we do. That's what we doodly do. No, not open gate. Open door. Oh, door's already open. Aubrey. How are you, my good man? What did I say? Port Sarim. God, I'm curious to how many runes we're gonna have at the end of this. There's just so many now. I especially want airs, fires, and deaths. Reason being, airs is for, currently I'm using the like god spell thing, Divine Storm. That's been cool. I think that requires 4 or 5 airs. And then when I'm AFK training, I've been using Blood Burst. That requires fire runes and deaths. Is it 10 or 110? Okay. Then we run down here. We go to the Void Knights. They have a really good shop. I haven't unlocked Lunar Diplomacy yet, so we can't go to that one. And I don't know of other ones. There probably is other ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Maybe Keldagrim has one. Well, I don't know if dwarves are known for their magical abilities. Buy all those. This is a really good store. Trade, field rations. What do they, how much these heal? 500. I can just buy COD. Edgeville. Alright. Then after this, what I also want to test is the, what's it called? I don't think it'll be any, no, it wouldn't be anywhere near as good. I was gonna say the Void, it's not Void Knights, the White Knights castle chests drop white armor, which you can elk. And you get one piece every single time. But I can just look at my bank and see what the cheapest piece is and what the most expensive piece is. So we can get a rough estimate. I don't need to actually do it. Oh yeah, I saw this and I'm very curious about it. I think that's really cool. Ooh, this has bloods too. We love that. We're almost broke again. We run down here and we take the lever up to the Mage Arena. And then I think we're done for the runes. Fuck, we're gonna get like, I think this sells, yeah, we're gonna get nearly 5k per day for air runes and stuff. That's sick. I do think there's another thing, like I said at the start of the stream, I think there's another thing that I'm forgetting that I need to pay for, like, daily. I'm also going to go buy the food from Karamdra after this. Or at least do one inventory. But yeah, I don't remember what the other daily thing is. I did the pineapples and seaweed cost nothing. I did the compost thing today for the leprechaun. Let's have a look at the skills. I have to repair my arums and stuff now because I'm using that while farming. That's another added cost. It's not a big deal, but it is an added cost. Oh, this is 300 deaths too. Oh, it's 300 deaths, not 300 cosmic, right? 297k. Cool. Bank all that. All right, we're looking pretty nice on the old runes. All right. I'm guessing the plate body's the most. 2.3k high elk. Okay, gauntlet's probably the least. 3. No. Let me. 3. It is 3. It is actually 3 for a high elk. What the fuck? Alright, so that's definitely ruled out. What else have we got? I'll go to Karanja while I'm waiting. While I'm figuring it out. I don't think I can view the skill guide while teleporting, can I? Oh, I can. Cool. Pickpocket. Oh, we'll try the knights as well. I want to see how much coin they give when you don't get an item. Because I don't think they give the items that frequently. I know they give the anima stuff at a decent rate, but not like super fast. What else do we get soon? I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't even know where that is. So yeah, the next thing really is the Menaphos market guards and the tower mages, which I'm looking forward to both of those. I'm also looking forward to the Desire traders because I want to know if they drop the if they give gems like they do in the other game, because that'd be sick. That would definitely be where I'm getting my crafting XP. Is there anywhere else I need to go? I suppose we'll go... Oh no, Alcarid's kind of annoying to bank at. Let's go this. We'll empty this bank, and then we'll go to the knights over in the desert. Also, Ben realized that you can actually enter the Reaper portal or whatever, and it takes you to your current Reaper task. So, like, I got DKs at the moment. We could literally just go through that to DKs. Which is sick. Like, I'm still torn on whether I think this is a net positive for a game or if it just, like, condenses so much that it kind of just wipes out the need for, like, a great deal of other stuff. But it is cool at the same time. What was I saying I need to go? I need to... Alcarid. Let's try out these knights. Hopefully they have a good amount of money. I do have a teleport crystal, but it costs to be 500 of those points each, and I don't have a farming level to get the next tier of herb thingies. Of herb planting, I think that's 72. Oh, on that note, last night I made 1,100 super strengths. That got me 6 levels in herb lore, so we're slowly growing up. It also unlocks Snapdragon, which is really nice. Super restores in 2 levels is going to be really nice. Like, that's huge for the character because not only is that prayer points, but I can get those ingredients super easily. I have so many seeds. I need to get this up too for the seeds though. Yeah, 3 more levels for that as well. But I can boost some of that. Alright, don't just fucking punch me in the face straight away, buddy. Bro, this is rude. I'm gonna stand behind you. You can't see me, huh? How's that sound? How's that sound, buddy? No, not to the side. Oh, no, he turns around. Alright, never mind. Scrap it. Bro, I haven't even pickpocketed him once. Alright, now I got a seed. What did I get? I don't even know what a fell stalk is. 275. Okay, so the archaeologist is way better. 91, okay. I mean, it makes sense that the archaeologist is better. Oh, I gotta do a herb run. It makes sense the archaeologist is better because there's just no one pickpocketing these, and there's tons of them pickpocketing the other thing. So yeah, duh, I guess that makes sense. Same with the Menify Guard. That's why I think that's gonna be good. I'm hoping that I get like large gifts or something from those. And actually thinking about it, it makes sense then that I also don't do the marketeers for now, because surely I'll get, because the only thing I want from the marketeers is the reputation and the gifts. But I imagine the reputation that I get will be higher from the guards anyway. So I'm better off just rushing towards the guard level, and then I probably get better rates at that point anyway. Like, generally speaking, a lot of the time that's more efficient to get the higher level thing unlocked and then do that. But we shall see. Oh yeah, the vase smashing thing, that is so nice. I wish I knew it was just in the settings though. So I didn't have to do the bar crawl for no reason. Oh well. It is what it is. Trying to think what else to do. Maybe I cut this one short today because I am extremely tired, but I've also got an appointment tomorrow, so I want to record a video today so I have that ready for YouTube because I'm not going to be able to stream tomorrow. And I haven't really got anything planned for today. I'm probably just going to be thieving. Maybe we'll do some... I'm probably going to do some barrows. But other than that, there isn't too much that's going to be done. That I can think of. Probably mostly going to be doing thieving, actually. Because I do need to get more money for tomorrow. Yeah, and then I might do some barrows or bossing or something for the recording. I'm not sure. We shall see. That being said, I'm sure you guys don't particularly care about seeing me do my herb run, so maybe I just end it here anyway. But yes, unless I can think of something real quick to do. Let's go back to length, because length is all that matters, unfortunately for me. No, you know what? I think I am just too tired today. And I need to be in good shape for tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's a little bit important kind of meeting, so I want to be able to retain as much as I can from that. Anyway, I will end here. But yeah, I'll be back on Thursday. If you miss me, there's always the YouTube series. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, fuck you and thank you. But yeah, I'm gonna bounce. Bye.